Being related to Micheal Schumacher comes with a lot of benefits. It can open lots of doors and opportunities within Formula One, but it comes with a lot of pressure as well. Mick Schumacher has had to learn this the hard way, having made an underwhelming start to his Formula One career. It's gotten so bad that some sections of fans and analysts are beginning to suggest that his father's name and reputation helped him secure a seat on the grid rather than his talent. But how true are these claims? Does Mick Schumacher have a talent problem? And will he retain his seat in the Formula One next season? Let's find out. When it was announced that Mick Schumacher would make his F1 debut with the Haas team in the 2021 season, there was plenty of optimism. Fans cheered him on with hopes that he would at least get some points on the board early on. But unfortunately, Schumacher Jr. didn't have the kind of start he'd have expected. He didn't score a single point for over 1 year. Meanwhile, other rookies like Yuki Tsunoda and Zhou Guanyu were getting points on the board at intervals. It didn't take long before the fans and media started to criticise Mick Schumacher for his poor showing. However, the Haas driver made a huge statement at the British Grand Prix with a P8 finish, going wheel-to-wheel with Max Verstappen a couple of times. At the end of the race, Schumacher Jr. said he was really happy for scoring the first points of his Formula One career, adding that it was great to get those questions from the media away. But he wasn't done yet. At the next race in Austria, Mick Schumacher's impressive display saw him go toe-to-toe with Lewis Hamilton, and it looked like he had finally gotten the monkey off his back. But despite this sudden revival, rumours that the Haas team are keen to get rid of him at the end of the season wouldn't just go away. The truth is, Mick Schumacher has been the centre of many jokes, especially when he's struggled to deliver the needed results. But is it all his fault? Well, maybe not. Mick Schumacher came into Formula One at a time when new regulations were being introduced. To make matters worse, he had to race for a team that didn't have a good car to challenge. So basically, he has spent most of his F1 career trying to avoid finishing bottom. This seems to have coloured the thoughts of the fans about his talent, and critics have seized the opportunity to peddle the propaganda that his rise to the F1 was aided by his father's reputation. Everyone seems to forget or deliberately ignore the fact that he won the Formula 2 championship only a few years ago. The questionable relationship between Schumacher and Gunther Steiner hasn't helped either. The Haas team boss has been critical of Schumacher's frequent crashes in the car, and according to reports, those accidents cost the team well over $2 million to fix. While all this was going on, Schumacher's teammate, Kevin Magnussen, was busy scoring as many points here and there as he could. This increased the pressure on Mick Schumacher so much that even his uncle Ralf Schumacher agreed he wasn't having the best of times, saying, "Well, I have to say Mick obviously started very weakly." Mick started weakly in relation to Kevin Magnussen. You just have to see it that way. But thankfully, Mick Schumacher didn't let the bad press and criticism get to him. Rather, he kept his calm and produced a couple of impressive performances. The signs started to show when he finished third during qualifying in Barcelona, even though he failed to convert it to points on the race day. Then came the masterclass at Silverstone, where he gave reigning world champion Max Verstappen a scare and finally scored his first points in the sport. It was a long wait, given that he needed 32 races to do it, but his fans wouldn't mind. Another person that would have enjoyed watching Mick Schumacher score his first points in Formula One is Sebastian Vettel. Vettel has always been supportive of Schumacher Jr. Some say it's because they share the same nationality. Others believe it's because Vettel was mentored by the great Micheal Schumacher, who always looked out for him when he first joined the sport. But whatever the case is, it's obvious that Vettel cares a lot about Mick Schumacher. Some people have described him as Schumacher's godfather on the paddock, and he doesn't seem to mind. In fact, according to reports, Vettel recommended Mick Schumacher to Aston Martin after he announced he'd retire from racing at the end of this season. But that shouldn't really surprise you. No matter how hard officials try to deny or downplay it, nepotism is a common practice in Formula One, and it was on full show as Vettel confirmed the stories. We did have a very brief chat about what might be next. I do have my opinion. I think very highly of Mick. I'm obviously not entirely objective because I'm very close to him, but I think he's a great driver. It's nice to get this type of encouragement and recommendation, especially from a 4-time F1 champion like Vettel. And for a young driver like Mick, it could do his chances of getting a seat in the paddock next season a whole lot of good. But that would only raise more questions about his talents. Nonetheless, Mick Schumacher flirted with the idea for a while. However, Aston Martin decided to replace Vettel with another Formula One veteran in Fernando Alonso. This means Mick Schumacher would have to fight hard to keep his place on the Haas team, or somehow find a way to secure a seat with another team on the paddock. But as things stand, all 20 seats in Formula One look to have been secured already. Mick Schumacher's current boss, Gunther Steiner, is known to be a disciplinarian who doesn't shy away from dishing out criticism. In fact, during Schumacher's point drought and frequent crashes, Steiner was of the most vocal critics. But he has since come around, especially since Mick started getting points on the board. In fact, Steiner admitted in an interview that Mick Schumacher has turned the corner with his recent performances. He, however, didn't offer any assurances as to whether Schumacher Jr. will keep his seat with the team next season. Could this be due to a lack of talent? Well, to be honest, Mick Schumacher is nowhere near the levels that saw his father win 91 races and 7 world titles. But you've got to give him credit for what he's done and how he's managed to work his way to the top. It's easy to suggest that his father's reputation and connection helped him get to where he is at the moment, but that might not be entirely true. Mick Schumacher won the 2020 F2 Championship before he made his debut in the F1 the next year. So many other current Formula One drivers, like Charles Leclerc, George Russell and even Lewis Hamilton, have had the same career path, and nobody really questioned their talent. But all of a sudden, everyone wants to have a say about Mick Schumacher's talents because his dad is one of the greatest drivers in the history of Formula. It's a bit unfair, to be honest, more like he's a victim of his father's greatness. People need to stop judging him based on the type of stellar career that Micheal Schumacher had. Mick is a man of his own, and he will eventually show what he's made of with time. Besides, for him to have won the F3 and F2 championship, it means he has talent and he is totally deserving of his seat at Haas. The early troubles he had were partly due to the inefficiency of the car, and as we've seen in recent times, he's shown that he can score points. Obviously, the weight of being a Schumacher is heavy, and we cannot say that Mick Schumacher will turn out to be as good as his father. However, if he's able to build on his recent form, he would definitely be driving Formula One next season. Does Mick Schumacher deserve a seat in Formula One next season? Let us know what you think in the comments section.